from different places, we all have different names. No matter what life brings us, Jesus is the same. We're just your Methodist to the madness. Methodist to the madness. Methodist to the madness. Methodist to the madness.
Hey Beth, what's happening?
Tim, how's it going?
Wait. Well, hey Jessica.
Cricket.
Wait,
Where's Jessica?
Is Jessica not here?
Where'd
Oh wait, yes, Jessica is not here. Everyone, Jessica had a baby.
She just had a baby. Saturday.
Was it Sunday?
Yeah, it was Sunday. No, was it? I think so.
Wait. It was.
It probably doesn't matter the day, but I think
it's okay.
Sunday, March 30th. Sorry if we got your baby's birthday wrong, Jessica. But anyway, March 30th, 2025. That's this year. 7 pounds, 30 ounces, 20 inches long.
Wow.
Shares a birthday with his grandma, who was able to be part of welcoming him into the world. The most important part, or maybe not, depending on what you think are important details, but the most important part is his name is Miles Copeland Young.
Yeah.
Congratulations
that's awesome.
to Jessica and Amber. My joke that I haven't gotten to say yet, because I keep forgetting, is that he has Amber's eyes.
I think he does, personally. So
I know it's so stupid, but makes me laugh. So if you're wondering where Jessica is, that's her update. Hey gang, just had a baby. Miles Copeland Young. People tired.
Right. So for everybody that doesn't know, everybody was thinking about how Jessica was pregnant. Well, you don't have to worry now. She's no longer pregnant. After having a baby, it changes your status of pregnancy to not pregnant. So, so it's kind of like setting, your status on a messaging app. Instead of online or busy. So she was busy that whole time. Now she's online. Her full Jessica self is back because she's not pregnant anymore. But the baby is available. The baby is online. So that means that all of her time is occupied by the baby being online.
Jessica's pregnancy is now offline. And I just wanted to let everybody know that I've been in not pregnant status for 16 years. So.
Wow. Congratulations for being not pregnant for 16 years.
Yeah, thank you. I also think that deserves congratulations. Anyway, so what's up with you, Tim? What's going on? What happened with you this past weekend?
Let me think. So, I accidentally spilled water into my rice cooker. And I use my rice cooker every day. And since I went from keto to eating a lot of carbs, I've become pretty dependent upon it. So one time I was talking to my mom about something, and I think I was worried about something at the same time. And then we had the dog show. That's what my mom and I call it, going, where basically we have this thing called the Pet Collective. It's like this pet show or something where there's a lot of cute pets and animals doing funny things. Well, anyway, that was going. So between my mom talking to me, getting worried about something, and then hearing the animals going on the TV, I did not measure my rice properly with how much water I was putting in the rice cooker. So I'm like, okay, I need to remeasure it. So I proceeded to be awkward and pulling the bowl off of the rice cooker, and spilled water into the rice cooker drum, and was thinking, oh, well, maybe I could still use the rice cooker. But then I turned the rice cooker over. There's water inside it. And fortunately, wisdom got the best of me here, and I actually looked this up online. I asked ChatGPT about what I should do, and what I found was that there was with water being inside the drum, it's probably not a good idea to power it up in any way whatsoever. Like it could cause a fire, or just create, or it could cause the breaker to go off or something, like bring down the power in the kitchen, or so I needed to set up rice on the stove. I used to do that before I had a rice cooker, no problem. However, last time I made the rice yesterday, I didn't put enough water in it. I didn't have to worry about that with the rice cooker because it's so like self-contained. But with the stovetop, the water needs vary depending on how big the pot is. So my rice ended up crunchy yesterday, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not very appetizing. But I know it was edible because the day before, I had the same amount of water, but for some reason the crunchiness didn't affect me as much because I added extra coconut oil on that time, but this time I didn't. So anyway, I didn't mean for that rice update to be like really long, but yeah. So word of advice for anybody: be careful with appliances and water, because if you put water into them, you probably won't be able to use them for like 2 days at least, potentially, so that they dry properly. So I wanted to mention something else, and that's what is it? Basically got a new idea in regards to mindfulness. And I was always kind of prioritizing mindfulness at certain points. But now I realize that I really didn't know what mindfulness was all about recently. Like, even though I read like multiple definitions of it over time, I realized that I was still confused about what mindfulness was all about. And so fortunately, I had the insight this time around that maybe I should try to put all these definitions together and come up with mindfulness in my own words. So that's exactly what I did. So my definition of mindfulness, because all the other ones are too confusing, is mindfulness is awareness and acceptance of yourself in the present moment. And with that like definition, that is just like super helpful. It's so like awareness of yourself, being like fully aware of like your thoughts and feelings, and then like accepting yourself, not judging those thoughts and feelings, and then all of that happens in the present moment. And so I think that's really powerful. And then finally, I found that I think, Beth, you predicted this, that I could change my Lent wish, or my Lent goal, and I basically did into what my original idea was before I came up with the reading thing. What it progressed into was trying to quit social media, or quit like the stimulating things from the phone and the computer. It's legitimately become that, instead of like focusing more on reading. And so I've like come to the conclusion that I need to just like cold turkey, like stop using like YouTube or certain apps and stuff like that at certain times, but taking into account what you said, Beth, about how it's okay to have a little bit of time here and there if I want to, but basically just being fully mindful of this, I think would be helpful. And so I think if I practice idleness more, that is kind of doing nothing, but like having one thing that I'm doing and then taking a break and not really doing anything, just being idle and then doing another thing, I think I'll have that space needed to really be fully mindful of like everything that I'm doing. So, yeah. So there's my update.
Thanks. That's fascinating stuff, Tim. Am I off mute? I sure am.
Yes, you are.
I'm enjoying some of my protein, my chicken that I was telling you about earlier, Tim.
Oh, that's exciting.
Well, you were in your update, and I was like, I don't want people to hear me eating, so I just had myself on mute. But as I was listening to your update, I was still laughing and like still interjecting my thoughts about it, knowing, Tim, that you couldn't hear me. So that was just for me, I guess.
Nice.
A couple things that I was going to say is when you mentioned mindfulness and what it means and how you were having trouble figuring out the definition. I was thinking in my head, I feel like mindfulness varies from person to person. It could be, one thing for one person and one thing for another person. And I feel like you basically nailed that one with your definition that you came up with. So, because you said accepting yourself and, which I feel like also ties in with like finding mindfulness activities that work for you. So thanks for the definition. And
thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. And then the second thing I was thinking about when you were talking about the rice, I was like, just in suspense, like he can't use it ever again just because there's water in it. He can't dry it out. And then towards the end of your update, you said you're just not going to use it for, the next couple days or whatever. And I was like, okay, all right. Because I was like, you shouldn't have to. I was just like freaking out at the thought of you throwing it all out because it got water in it one time. So that's a relief to the end of that story too.
Yeah, that's funny. I didn't really clarify that, did I?
But you did at the end.
Like a suspense story of some sort.
Well,
that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. What's going on with me, you ask?
Oh, yeah. What's going on with you, Beth?
Thanks, Jessica, or Tim, high-pitched Tim. That's your nickname.
Yeah, thanks, Jessica.
Well, here's my weekend in a nutshell. My Friday kind of got derailed for reasons that I won't get into, but that led to an unexpected sleepover at Miriam's house. Miriam works in the childcare for anybody who might be a new listener. and she's been my best friend for a long time, probably 16 years, 15, 16
Whoa.
years. So, yeah.
That is a long time. Wow, yeah. That's great.
So, we met when both of our kids were 3 and almost 3. So it's been a while. Oh, my kid just turned 18. Owen did. So, that's how long we've known each other.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's so cool.
Yeah, we had a sleepover, and it's always fun times at Miriam's with the sleepovers. If you adults out there are thinking that sleepovers with your best friends are just for children, I'm going to say no way. They're so much fun with you. And we had a lot of fun laughing and watching TV shows together. And so that was probably what I needed at that time anyway. And then Saturday, I spent the afternoon with my friend Pam, who goes to our church, and we went to go see the matinee of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which was so good. There is so much talent in this Antelope Valley. Some of those people I'm watching up on the stage, and I'm like, why aren't these people famous? Like, because they're, in my opinion, that good. And my second husband from Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, was in this play, and he played Mrs. Green, and he's been in a lot of plays. I was just reading his bio. His name's Robert Shoup. I was just reading his bio in the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory playbill, and I guess he's been in over 20 performances in the Antelope Valley. And I've seen a few of them, and he never fails to make me smile. His comedic timing is amazing, and he's just like a really fun, nice guy all around. And so it's always fun to watch him on stage.
Yeah.
And I also am still married to my first husband, but I just think it's funny to call him my second husband. And then I was frantically making stuff for the boutique that I didn't get done on Friday because of my derailed day. And then I stayed up till 3 a.m. making stuff. And then on Sunday, it was a miracle I made it to choir on time-ish because of how late I stayed up making all the stuff for the boutique. And then we had the craft boutique, and that was pretty fun. And I think everybody had a good time. I got so many people at the end of the boutique thanking me for the work that I put into it and, giving them this opportunity. And of course, I was like, thank you, because I can't do this without any of you. But then I was mulling it over at like yesterday and today. And I was thinking, I was like, wait a minute. I think the real thanks should go to Miriam, because she's the reason we do these so frequently. She's kind of the one who suggested we have it at our church in the first place. And then because of its popularity amongst the crafters and the quilters and all of those people, they keep asking if we can have more. So in previous years, we've done 2 craft boutiques in the year. There's usually a spring one and then one near Christmas time. I think we did that 2 years in a row, but because the people wanted more, that sounded sarcastic. It wasn't supposed to be, but because the people wanted more, we are now having 4 in 1 year. So we're having them quarterly. The first one being this past Sunday. The second one is we are planning on Sunday, September 28th. And then I'll let you know as the next ones get closer. Maybe that's only 3. I can't remember. It doesn't matter.
Hey, 3 or 4 is actually a really often amount. Does it even make sense? An often amount? What in the world?
I think so.
Yeah. So, oh, cool. Yeah, I think 3 or 4 is perfect. Like 2, then you're like, no, I feel like there could be more, but 3 or 4 is totally satisfying. So whether it's 3 or 4, I think anybody would be feeling good about that.
I think it's actually only 3 because I don't think we planned a summer one. So if that's what we're doing,
Right,
anyway,
right.
Speaking of events going on at the church. Go ahead.
Wait, Beth, before you jump in there, I just wanted to say that I totally can validate your experience of like sleeping over at Miriam's house, because that's what I do with one of my high school friends. Like he and I have been like, we've had basically all the time that he and I would hang out. I would sleep over at his house, and we would just like play video games and just like talk. I mean, honestly, we would just like talk most of the time, I would say.
Yeah.
And then, it's just fun, and it's just easier because he lives out in the San Fernando Valley. So that's like really far away from like Lancaster or Palmdale. What is that? Like an hour or an hour and 15 minutes away. Yeah. So like, why would I just like go all the way to his house and then drive home? Like, I'll just sleep over, just make it simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then like meeting halfway is no fun, like going to a restaurant and then saying goodbye. Like we didn't get a chance to hang out long enough. So, yeah. So that's good. That's really good that you have that with Miriam. That's awesome. And that's just a great period of time too. Like so lengthy. That's and then being able to share your kids with each other too. That makes it even more special. So
they don't have, when our kids were little, I think Joseph's and Owen's first sleepover was at Miriam's house. And
really,
they must have been 4 or 5. I can't even remember. It was when they were really little. And I asked if I could spend the night and bring Jonah just in case they had any like issues or, so they wouldn't be scared or whatever because their mom isn't there. And that's also been a lot of fun, having sleepovers with our kids. And
yeah, that's like a full family sleepover.
Yeah. And we've done that a couple times I have two friends who I've known for about 10 years now. All of our kids went to kindergarten together, and we've had sleepovers just us. Well, I don't know if we've ever had sleepovers just us, but we've had sleepovers with the kids, and then we spent the night also, and that's been fun too. So it's not just with Miriam. I'll have sleepover parties with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So, if anyone's
that's
looking,
exciting.
Yeah, if anyone's looking to have a sleepover party, let me know. I'll come right over. Just kidding.
That's awesome. That's really nice. That kind of reminds me of one of those holiday movies or Christmas movies or whatever, where they just like get room and board somewhere and then they like stay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. There was a movie that was just about that. It was oh man, you know what? I'm gonna find out and then I'm gonna report it on the podcast because I can't think of it right now. But yeah, there's probably a lot of those movies that are holiday oriented.
Oh, yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I don't think it has anything to do with Home Alone though. But yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Well, while you look that up, or are you?
Oh, good. Oh, that's my opportunity.
Yeah. While you look that up, I'm going to read off the announcements and some of the things that we have upcoming.
All right.
So
that's great.
Thanks, Tim. No, just kidding. So on April 12th, 2025, the youth group is going to the AVALTA FC soccer match. I don't know what any of those stand for, those letters. It's a lot of them. There's 3 A's in it. And if I'm being honest,
I heard you say, was it AVTA?
It's AV, and then the next one is ALTA.
Oh,
soccer match.
Oh, okay. Because if you remove the AL and it's just AVTA, that's the Antelope Valley Transport Authority, yeah, and that's the bus system.
Oh, I do know what the AV stands for. I believe it's audio visual. No, I'm just kidding. It's Antelope Valley. So.
I actually believed you for a second.
It does stand for that, but not in this context. And
right.
The time, but people should have gotten their tickets already from Pastor Jim. And yeah, on April 13th, Holy Week begins with Palm Sunday / Passion Sunday. And that'll be at our church services at 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. And then after that, in the afternoon, from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., we have Messy Church Palm Sunday edition. And
Ooh.
Miriam and I were working on that today, and we've got a lot of fun activities planned and a delicious dinner, and you don't want to miss this. So please come. What else is happening? We've got confirmation class ongoing in the fireside room with Pastor Jim. I think they're in their second week, and I think it's at 1:00 after church on Sundays. It's probably not too late if you or someone you know who is in high school wants to take a confirmation class. I'm not sure if it's limited to just young adults or young high school kids. I'm sure I'll get feedback on that later. But
so, Beth, remind me what all has to do with confirmation class. How is that different from like PUMC 101? Are they like related or totally different?
Maybe that's the difference. Maybe adults do PUMC 101 and then kids do confirmation class, because I do think that that's a class that, and I'm not sure if it's just a Methodist thing or not, or if other churches do it, but basically the kids, I never took confirmation class, so forgive me if I'm getting the information wrong, but it's basically a class to work the kids up to becoming members of the church. And so it's probably is the same as POMC 101, but for the teenaged children.
Wow. That's really good to know.
Yeah. And my favorite thing about Pastor Jim's confirmation class is he has a rule that the class has to be the kid's idea. If he learns that the parents are really pushing the kid into taking it, he will give them a signed note excusing them from the class. And I think that
wow,
the greatest thing, because if you're being forced to do it, you're not getting anything out of it anyway. And
exactly.
I'm just really glad that he has that perspective on it, because I think at the end of the day, I think really he just doesn't want his time to be wasted, and that makes a lot to me.
Right, exactly. And honestly, kind of relates to like the fact that everyone is welcome at Palmdale United Methodist Church. But if you don't feel like it's suitable for you at a particular moment, but it'll always be there. We'll always welcome everyone with open arms. But I think that Jesus will always be waiting, kind of like the prodigal son.
Yeah.
Like the son out in the town somewhere, figuring things out. And then he feels like that's not for him anymore. And then he comes rushing back, and then everybody welcomes him with open arms, and they cut they have the amazing, what was it? The amazing food. I don't remember what it is now, but yeah, that's basically what it is. It's like, so for those that don't want to do confirmation class, maybe Jesus will come through for them at a later time. But confirmation class at that moment was not the time. And if they're not forced, then maybe they'll come very excited later. So yeah, that's great. Very nice.
I was to add to that, Palmdale United Methodist Church's motto is "I'll be there for you." No, I'm just kidding. That's from the Friends theme, but it's also true. The real motto is "We are inspired by Jesus to love."
Right, indeed.
Moving on.
You made me think about how In-N-Out Burger has a secret menu.
Oh yeah, it's the secret.
Yeah, maybe there's some.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's like the secret motto. Yeah.
I like it. Yeah, it is now. It is now.
Indeed.
Just a couple more announcements. We have our Food for Thought on Wednesdays, where you get a meal and a little food for your mind as well. That's from 6:00 to 7:15. And there's also choir on Thursdays. If anyone wants to join the choir, that's from 6:00 to 6:45. And I think that's about it for what's going on right now. So,
all right.
Enjoy that.
That sounds good. Very nice. I just had water in my mouth. So if it sounded like I was underwater, that was the reason.
I thought you were. We don't have our videos on, so what do I know? Speaking of being underwater, here's Tim with the Lent hymn moment. Take it away.
Oh, thank you.
Lent hymn.
Oh, thank you, Beth.
Lent
Methodist moment. And then you said Lent hymn. That's awesome.
I thought since you sing the theme song when I do the Methodist moment or the Bethodist moment, that I would just sing for you. So you're welcome, Tim.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. So I'm doing something a little different, and I don't know if this is greatly delayed, considering what we talked about many, many weeks ago. And for those of you who are seasoned listeners, I'm not talking about seasoning on chicken. but if you're seasoned listeners, then you would remember that we talked about the Psalms because of Pastor Jim and his sermon series about the Psalms. And we kind of were like, oh yeah, maybe if Tim came up with the Psalms, you could call them Toms. So I
That's
so
funny.
the Holy Spirit, I guess, inspired me to really go forward and write something like kind of like a psalm. I mean, I looked up what a psalm means, and it's basically like a praise. What does a psalm mean to you, Beth? Is that what when you think of a psalm is like a praise or a prayer?
I feel like, I guess when I think of one, I feel like it's a song or a poem of praise.
Oh yeah, that's great. Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess in a sense, what I wrote is like a psalm. If all of those things are, so I guess we people in modern day can write psalms ourselves. I realized that it was okay for me to do that, so I just went ahead and wrote one. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and read what I wrote here. God, I love you so much. You are the wind beneath my wings. You are the light that guides my path. You make a way where there is no way. You have my most heartfelt thanks. You are my everything. I give you my most heartfelt thanks every day. I am so grateful for you every day. You've changed everything about me. It's been a good thing. In fact, it's been a marvelous thing. I don't think I can describe how incredible it has been. You bring me out of the depths of darkness over and over. I may lose my life, but I will find it as long as I seek you. And I will seek you everlasting. I will seek you forever. I give you my heart, my strength, my mind, my soul, my entire being. I give you my everything. You are my everything. I have already lost my life, but I found it because of you. So that's what I wrote.
That was beautiful, Tim. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much. So the reason why I wrote that is I lately, I think the last few weeks, I was like trying to figure out what was like making my life better, and like something, it's just like a insight that I had. I was like, maybe my life is going a lot better, like particularly in the last few weeks, because I've been spending more time with God and thinking about God, and like having gratitude and appreciation for my life, and just trying to focus on like loving God and stuff. And so like, I'm like, okay, so I'm feeling better, maybe because of all of that. So maybe that's what I need to be focusing on even more. And like that, I think what caused me to write that. And just, so I've been listening to more like Christian music too, and that's been like really a blessing. I really liked that one artist that I shared on the podcast recently, Abby Gamboa, and that's kind of opened me up to like a whole bunch of other worship music that I didn't even know about, because this was like an interesting thing that Don told me about. You know, Don, our music director, he told me that there's a lot of Christian music that is like 6 or 7 minutes long, like longer than just like 3 or 4 minutes, like you would hear on the radio. And I hadn't heard any of this kind of music until I started listening to Abby Gamboa and like doing the, like either Pandora or YouTube Music or something like that. I was like getting recommended all these other songs that were like longer and like more like just basically focusing on like praising God and loving God and so forth. And I just felt so inspired by all that music. And so, yeah, I credit that, like my happiness and my appreciation for life and like loving my life and loving just so much of everything is because of God, and like how he's totally changed my life. Like really, it's really amazing, and it's really hard to describe like why and how and so forth. And like when I talk to people, it's like I just want to tell them how much I love God, and but like I don't know if they understand, but maybe I should just tell them anyway, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that, Tim. And I do think that you have, like, that is the code that you have cracked. You know, the more you spend time with God and, you know, doing your devotions, practicing gratitude, the happier you are. And one of my things is, I realize this, but when things get hard in my life or too stressful, all of that goes by the wayside, and I'm not doing any of that. And I'm in a hard and stressful time in my life right now, my family life anyway.
Yeah.
Not Craig, not Jonah, but somebody else who lives here. And
Right.
we need to remember that and know that there's devotionals and, you know, listening to worship music. A couple weeks ago, we sang Blessed Assurance. And whenever we sing with the choir and whenever we sing any songs, I get them stuck in my head for like days, weeks, years afterwards.
Yeah.
And so I had that song stuck in my head and I was like, I'm going to play that song. And so I looked it up on whatever app I was using. I have Spotify and Apple Music, and I looked it up and I saw that there was a version by Alan Jackson, who I kind of grew up listening to. He's a country music singer that, well, I listened to him a lot in the 90s when I was a kid, but he's probably been doing other stuff after that. But I found that version of the song, and the fact that it was by Alan Jackson just made me enjoy it even more. And so I'm going to challenge myself to at least listen to that when we're done with this podcast, and I can, you know, decide where I want to go from there. So thanks for all of that, Tim. Like, it is a good reminder because a lot of us, including myself, forget. So, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. I really appreciate that. And yeah, and I'm really glad you said what you said, like about how when we spend more time with God, it really does make a huge difference on our lives and how we treat others and stuff like that. And but then it's like sometimes we kind of forget, and that's why I love the Bible so much as well. It's like we have all these figures in the Bible that's exactly what they did too. Like they forget to like put God first in their lives and in those stories, and like so we can kind of like relate to them, and then it's like, oh well, they always come back to God, and so that's what we just want to continue to do as well. So that's really cool, and I'm really glad that you found like an artist that sang what did you say, Blessed Assurance? Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. I'm glad that you found like an artist, a different artist that sang the song that you really liked, because that reminds me of how I found the song Holy Spirit, You're Welcome Here by a certain singer that I did not expect would be singing that song. I think I mentioned this on the podcast many episodes ago, how this one, this artist that would sing trance music, because I listen to a lot of trance music, you know, like EDM, like that's a genre within EDM, trance music. Her name is Kathy Burton. And I didn't realize that she did a whole bunch of Christian music until I started like just kind of going through her music portfolio. And then I found that like version of Holy Spirit, You're Welcome Here. And she just did such a wonderful job. And I just love the way that she like sounded when she sang that song. And it just like kind of the song resonated with me more. because of the way she sang it. But I think like finding those moments where we can connect with God more, whether it's with a different artist or whether a different medium or like even just an insight that we have, or maybe we just open up the Bible and see like a random like scripture that appeals to us. Like there's just so many ways to connect with God. And I think you said this, Beth, it might have been last episode, where like to make it simple for ourselves, like thinking about worship of God, I think it's just spending time with God more, honestly. So,
and just do as much as you can in the time that you have. You know, it doesn't have to be elaborate. It could be just listening to Blessed Assurance after this podcast is over and seeing where it goes from there.
Yeah. Absolutely. I totally agree. That's awesome.
Speaking of Alan Jackson singing country songs that are also Christian songs, about this last week's sermon and this week's sermon. You know, Jessica usually maybe we need to get out the sermon notes, but I'm just remembering now that Jessica usually tells what the name of the sermon series is,
right,
and what Bible verses he went over, and I have neglected to do any of that, and I don't remember anything.
So I do remember what the sermons were about, and I can summarize them, but I do not have the scriptures available. So if you want to pull up the sermon notes, or we could just it depends if you think you could pull it up in time actually I'll make my summary super long, but not long enough to make everybody snore on the podcast or for the listeners. Okay, so the first sermon that we're covering, so we're covering 2 weeks worth of sermons here. The first sermon was about the fig tree. So Pastor Jim has been doing a sermon series on the different trees that are in the Bible. And there's all sorts of like symbolic or significant trees. And there's some in the Old Testament, and there's some in the New Testament. And I'm so happy that he's bringing all of this to our understanding. And there's so much like symbolism in the Bible. You have the trees, you have the numbers, you have just all sorts of things. So like the fact that he brought forward the trees is great. So anyways, the first sermon was about the fig tree, and it was based on the parable where Jesus talked about the I think you had a worker that was working on a tree, the fig tree, and he was asking, I think it was one of the rulers at the time, or somebody that was managing his work, regarding keeping the fig tree for one more year. And there's a good chance that, like, basically that the worker thought that it would be valuable for that tree if it just had one more year. And so there was a lot that Pastor Jim talked about in regards to that. A lot of great things that I will go over in my feedback. But the second summary, and my giving summaries, I apologize if I'm not like explaining things properly. Or
let me stop you for just a second.
Oh, thank you.
I found the verses that.
Oh, okay.
So the sermon from last week, if anyone wants to go look back and read the scripture that he preached upon, it's Luke 13:1-9.
Oh, perfect. So that's awesome.
There you go. Continuous second sermon.
Oh yeah. So the second sermon was about the unfortunate scenario that Jesus found himself in, and he knew that he was going to be involved in this, but it was his crucifixion. And Pastor Jim talked in great detail about the events leading up to it, and particularly there was a tree that was associated with Jesus' crucifixion. And I think that I could probably explain that the tree falls into his sermon after he talked a lot about Jesus' crucifixion, in that Jesus was taken down from the tree and not staying overnight due to a passage in Deuteronomy that talks about how those that are nailed to a tree, if I'm not mistaken, are to be removed from the tree before the overnight, so that they're not cursed. And so, in this case, that's exactly what happened with Jesus, and that's really wonderful because Jesus was certainly not in a cursed scenario. I mean, it very unfortunate one, but the idea was that he was going to be like resurrected, and so like that's the exact opposite of being cursed, I would say. I mean, that's redeeming us from our being cursed. So that's very cool, and I really I'm so grateful that like that was you see that dichotomy there with the tree, right? That he was removed from the tree before the overnight, and he removed our curses that we have when he came to save us and so forth. But I can jump into that with my feedback. But I'm curious, Beth, would you like me to go into my feedback, or you'd like to share your feedback first?
First, I would like to. You can share yours first, but first, I would like to tell our listener. There's only one right now. I'm just kidding. That the verses that he preached on in April 6th's sermon yesterday was Luke 23:26 through 49. And go. What's your feedback?
All right. That's great. Thank you for sharing that.
You are welcome.
So there was several highlights that I picked up here. And the ones that stood out to me more, I'll definitely talk more about, but here I'll go ahead and jump forward here. I feel like every time I say jump forward, I'm talking about like a leapfrog or something, but I don't know, like, what does the leapfrog have anything to do with sermon feedback?
Yeah.
So let's see. The first thing was, it kind of falls into what Pastor Jim had said over many sermons over the course of like a year or longer, about how he doesn't believe that everything happens for a reason. And what his sermon, the first one on the fig tree, really brought that to light, about Jesus talking about like the idea that like the random things will happen to us regardless of our sin, or regardless of like the mistakes that we happen to be making, or the triumphs that we have. Like we just everybody is plagued with happenstance to some extent, and I think that's totally the case. But I do think that we have opportunities for growth in all of these scenarios, whether it's the triumphs or the troubles. And Jesus brings us through all of that. And it reminds me of the scripture. I've been thinking about this scripture the last 2 weeks. I should read over it after the podcast. But the idea that we take, Jesus says, "Take my yoke," and we can find rest. And I think that's absolutely the case. Like whether we are going through trouble, and certainly we can find rest in our triumphs as well. It's sort of celebratory in that sense. So anyways, the other thing I wanted to mention is how Pastor Jim talked about how we have the fig tree was referring to barrenness, and I definitely can relate to the idea of barrenness, like especially like there have been periods in my spiritual life. And it's interesting that Beth and I talked about how we find ourselves not spending time with God at times, because it kind of reminds me of how we might have in other scenarios sort of a spiritual barrenness. And we might have not expected it. All of a sudden, we just found that we didn't spend time with God for a long period of time. And then we go through some trouble, and then we realize that we weren't spending time with God that whole time. And then it's like, well, maybe if we had been spending time with God more, we would have been feeling better. And so then things would have been better. And so, yeah, it's like, but then there's hope. The idea that we have, God is always working on us. God is always faithful. And so then it's like we come back to God, and then he welcomes us with open arms. Like we mentioned with the prodigal son. And then something else, jumping into the second sermon, is the idea that, actually before that, the really important point from the first one that I wanted to mention is the idea that Jesus it was here to save us. And I think that's really beautiful and special. And I think it was one of the scriptures that Jesus came not to condemn the world, but to save the world. And it reminds me of the other scripture of for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that what was it? That he might not condemn the world, but
whoever believes in him should not perish, but have eternal or everlasting life, depending on which version you read.
Oh, okay. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Beth. I appreciate.
I learned that at Awana. Yeah. When I was trying to teach kids. Awana. I don't remember what it stands for, but it's like sort of like a milder version that I like to call it Christian, like Boy Scouts or Cub Scouts, but it's milder than that. They don't do all of the most intensive stuff that the Scouts do, but yeah, it's just they would have you memorize, or they would have your kids memorize a Bible verse each week. And so me trying to help my kids learn the Bible verses, I accidentally learned them myself. And I told that to Miriam one time, who was a leader for Awana, and I think she still is. And she was like, yep, that's the point. So it's not just for the kids, it's for me as well. And yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's so cool. And that's kind of like a highlight, right? Like that's another way that we can spend time with God. Like we can actually just read over the same scriptures over and over and memorize them, so that we can always reflect and connect with God, like with his written word, like in our heads, and not just written down. But that's kind of how it started, right? Oral tradition. Mm-hmm. So we're kind of doing oral tradition at that point. Like if we memorize some of the scriptures, then we can keep that oral tradition going.
Yeah. Yep. I think we're doing a good job. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Are we?
I think we are. Yeah.
Okay.
And actually, this is a good segue into the second thing that I was going to say, or the second sermon, and that's the idea of the how. I loved how Pastor Jim brought up the miniature gospel, or gospel at miniature, with Luke. I think I memorized this one. It's Luke chapter 23, verses 39 through 43. And I think that's really special. Yeah, it kind of like that for God so loved the world scripture. It kind of connects with this one, that basically those criminals were condemned for what was going on and so forth in their lives. They caused themselves trouble, or they found themselves in trouble, and so then they were crucified with Jesus. And then one of the criminals said that Jesus was innocent, and he realized that Jesus was going someplace else. He had another kingdom, and so he asked Jesus if he could be part of his kingdom, and that's like really special. And then he said, "You'll be with me in paradise." And I think that's really like a beautiful thing that like basically spells it out for us that when we follow after Jesus, then we too will have that opportunity that we can be with Jesus in paradise. And it really does come down to like that saving faith, that the faith that like not only gives us a life with Jesus in everlasting, but also like we're transformed now, basically. And like the faith that we have in Jesus, it reminds me of the one of the passages in one of the Gospels of how the woman, there was a woman that was bleeding perpetually, and she grabbed Jesus's cloak or robe, and Jesus told her that her faith healed her. Or I think I might be paraphrasing, but basically that's the like so powerful that of our faith in Jesus and our faith in God is what gives us that that opportunity for wisdom and love and life transformation, and just like it's just a really amazing thing. But yeah, so that's all my stuff.
Thanks for sharing that, Tim.
Thank you.
No, what happened? Anyway, it doesn't matter. So, I guess for the first sermon, when he was talking about fig trees, anytime figs are mentioned in the Bible or just, in passing, which probably doesn't happen as much, but it always reminds me of a song in the musical Hamilton called One Last Time. And it's basically George Washington's swan song. He doesn't want to run for president again, so he wants Alexander Hamilton to write, like his goodbye speech or whatever. And so I'm just going to sing it because I love this song, and it's So it's called One Last Time. And in the original Broadway musical, George Washington is played by, I can't remember his name now. I think it's Christopher Jackson, but don't quote me on that. I think it is. Anyway, so he sings like the scripture says, everyone shall sit under their own vine and fig tree, and no one shall make them afraid. They'll be safe in the nation we've made. I want to sit under my own vine and fig tree, a moment alone in the shade, at home in this nation we've made, one last time. And
that was beautiful, Beth.
Thank you. I was actually like tearing up a little bit as I was singing because I'm just so touched by my own voice. I'm just kidding. But because as I was reading it and singing along to the lyrics, it just reminded me like how beautiful that is, and how all of us in one way or another want to sit under their own vine and fig trees and have their moment alone in the shade. And
yeah,
I don't know, that made me tear up just now. And
wow, that's really nice.
And then the second thing, Miriam and I were putting together the activities for Messy Church, and one of them involved fig cookies, like the Fig Newton type cookies. And I told Miriam that kids don't really like figs, and by kids, I meant me. But because it was a fig-related activity, we should still do it. And so we're still going to do that activity, but we've also planned an alternative food activity for those. And by those, I mean me, who don't like figs. So if you don't like figs, don't you worry. Come to Messy Church anyway.
That's good to know.
And I think because sometimes the sermons get blurred together for me, and I forget, especially when I listen to two back to back, I forget what was in one sermon and what was in the other. And apparently I didn't do a good job of differentiating it in my Apple Notes here. So we're just going to move on to the next one, I guess. So
I think you covered the first one well. That's great.
Thank you. Thanks, Tim. So the second sermon, you mentioned being spiritually barren. Is that what you said? Or something to that?
Oh, yeah. That was the first sermon.
Was it? Oh, yeah. That was the sermon. Oh, yeah. So back to the first sermon.
I was doing the exact same thing with my feedback. I'm like, wait, am I going to the second sermon or the first sermon?
It's what happened in my notes is that it just got separated and it's down all the way at the bottom underneath my sermon feedback for the second sermon. Anyway, you mentioned barren, and I just love the concept of different types of barrenness.
Yeah.
Not that it's happening to people, but the concept I really like, because when people hear the word barren, it usually refers to, fertility, and I guess even tree fertility if it's not producing the fruit.
Wow.
I think it should be. And I just think that's really cool that language is just really cool, and I don't know. So that's what I had for that one. Now back to the second sermon feedback again. So Luke 23:34. I'm going to read it to you guys.
Oh, cool.
Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they are doing. This passage, it's probably, I feel like, and Pastor Jim probably said the same thing in his sermon, but I feel like it's one of the most meaningful scripture versions in the Bible. And it still kind of gives me chills or goosebumps thinking about it or reading it, because while Jesus is being beaten and mocked, he is still pleading with God, not for them to stop, but he's pleading with God to forgive what is being done to him because they don't know what they're doing. Like, that's his last thought, is like, please forgive them because they don't know what they're doing. And in my own life, even when I'm mad at someone because they've crossed a line or have wronged me in some way, I still can't be all the way mad at them, because I know deep down that it's probably due to their own inner struggles and has less to do with who I am as a person. And so I can be mad and still not forgive that person. But at the end of the day, I know I probably will eventually. And I also try to remind myself that what their actions had more to do with them than it did with me. And the second thing, I've been rewatching Ted Lasso lately. Have I mentioned that I love Ted Lasso? Spoilers, I have. I mention it a lot.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And there's an episode in the first season where Ted rushes up the long stairs of the stadium and just runs up there to go talk to the boss, the owner of the team, Rebecca Welton, and ask her if he can do a strategy that was going to be frowned upon by the whole everybody, really, the fans, because her goal in the first season, at least, is to just make her ex-husband's life miserable and destroy everything that he loves. And he loved that football club more than anything. She told him to do it because she thought that the strategy would fail. Spoilers, it did not fail. But when they announced what they were going to do, it was taking out the star player and then putting in somebody else who wasn't considered the star player. And they all started dancing. They all started chanting, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing. And I just thought that was interesting that I watched that and made that connection, because there's no forgive him, Father, for he doesn't know what he's doing. They're just judging. They're like, this guy is a loser, but not Jesus. Jesus is like, forgive them because they don't know what they're doing. And that's basically all I have for
Wow.
the feedback, I think. Yeah, that's it.
Wow, speaking of chills, Beth, I think I got chills from that connection that you made there with Ted Lasso, and also, yeah, I was just speechless regarding the how powerful and important and just special that scripture is regarding Father, forgive them for they don't know what they're doing. And yeah, it's like, yeah, you basically put those two things together, and that's like beautiful. And I totally like think that that's like the case where you have people like judging other people or mistreating others and so forth, like having the wrong idea. And like, yeah, it's just sometimes we don't know what we're doing. And so like just the idea of forgiveness is so like incredible and just like, yeah, I really like that you made that connection there with Ted Lasso. Like, even though it's slightly different,
Right.
it's so cool that you made that association like that. And I think that's really how like the Bible connects with us, when we can make those associations with like different things that we happen to see or do or experience in life. And so, yeah, that's really special that you were able to like find that regarding like that Ted Lasso episode. And yeah, very similar in feel, right? And like when you kind of break it down, it's like the character that you mentioned was doing something, and the crowd thought like you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then almost like the opposite case in the Bible, it's like the crowd didn't know what they were doing, whereas in Ted Lasso, it was the crowd accusing that character that he doesn't know what he's doing.
The character who didn't know what he was doing is Ted Lasso. He's the head of the soccer team, but he's never coached soccer, just not amateur, but college football. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
Ted Lasso himself, the guy they named the show after. Not know what he was doing. Yeah. But he really did.
Yeah,
Yep.
Wow.
Oh, and
that's awesome.
One of the overarching themes of basically the whole show is based on not based on, but like one quote, which is be curious, not judgmental. And
yeah.
And I just feel like that's how everybody should be living their lives. And I also made another like mind-blowing connection as we were just talking about finding time to spend with God. And when you said something about how I connected the both of those, I think that was God doing that for me.
Yes.
Which also made me realize that even when I don't have time during the week to sit down with my devotionals, or I forget to listen to that Alan Jackson song, this still counts. The podcast still counts. Watching sermons at 1.5 or at 2 times the speed still counts. So also a good reminder to myself.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I need to make sure that reminder is in my head as well, that this still counts.
Right.
Indeed. Yep. Yeah.
I forgot about that until just now.
Yeah, I always forget about that too. Oh my gosh, it's crazy.
Still counts.
Yeah, and then I love that you said how you had that like connection regarding like Ted Lasso in this case, but then other experiences that you have of anything. It's like God kind of interweaves into like all of our experiences, our thoughts, like things that we're doing, like our communications with others, like the love that we have. It's like God is just in like touches so many parts of our lives that even if we're not actively spending time with God, I think like we're kind of indirectly spending time with God.
Right.
And sometimes we don't even know it. And then like later on, we find out that we did. We had that insight because of that special connection that we have with God. So yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm really glad you mentioned that.
Even when we put God on the back burner, he still keeps us on the front burner. Whatever your burner is, that's the one he keeps us on.
Yes.
Favorite burner, I think mine is the bottom right. That's the front burner that God has me on.
That's great.
Tell us your favorite burner. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah, mine is the front right too.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, that's really interesting. So we got the front right burner, and then we also, you and I both listen to the sermons at the same speed on YouTube. We both listened to the first sermon at 1.5 times speed, and then the second sermon at 2 times speed to get ready for the podcast.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. And then you brought it full circle back to the beginning of this podcast episode by mentioning the back and front burner, talking about the stove, because I was talking about the rice, cooking it on the stove top.
We did it. Speaking of not having to throw out your rice cooker if you accidentally spill water in the drum, Tim, do you have any prayer requests?
Oh my gosh. So I think that I could use a prayer for like maybe getting to some point in fruition for my Lentim experience. Like even though I kind of changed what I'm going to do for Lent, I think I could really use some prayer on that. Like the idea that I need to get just a better understanding about how I'm spending my time. And I think mindfulness, and I didn't say this in the beginning, but I kind of like the two together, mindfulness and idleness. If I could have like those two things, like kind of in balance. So I have a little bit of idleness in between what I do, and then just being mindful of my time in general. Like I think that will help me get a grip on the way that I'm spending my time with like the computer and my phone and social media and like even other things, like just getting distracted by random stuff. So yeah, just like a prayer for me to kind of like get that all figured out so that maybe I can get back to my original thing of reading more and stuff. So that's what I got for my prayer.
We can definitely pray for that. Tim, one thing I want to just clarify, when you said that I predicted what you would do with your Lent practice, I wasn't like saying, oh, Tim's going to give this up in 3 weeks. This is me clarifying for you and for the podcast. I only said that because it was last year. Tim decided 3 weeks in, he was going to give up caffeine. 3 weeks into the Easter season. And so I remembered that. And that's why I said that. It's not that I don't have any faith in Tim. I do. But that's not what I was trying to predict.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you for saying that.
I've just become really accustomed lately to people misunderstanding my words and my intentions, which unless you have more, leads me into my prayer request, which is
for sure. Go for it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm not gonna name any names or tell you who it is, but It's not Craig. It's not Jonah. It's someone else who lives in this house. That person has really been intent on misunderstanding me and not understanding my intentions of what I've been saying. And even when I try to shut things down so there isn't an argument, this person continues to try to argue with me because they think that their opinion is right and that mine is not. And that's led to some pretty nasty arguments / shouting matches. And I just feel like a shell of a person right now, because even though I try to explain my intentions and what I actually mean, this person refuses to see any of that. So just prayers that we can both kind of put some fabric softener on our relationship and maybe soften both of our hearts. That's my just life's been really difficult because of this, and I have already within the past few weeks decided that there was another person in my personal life, not related to me, who wasn't worth the time or energy that I was giving to them, because they were also misunderstanding the things I was trying to tell them and misunderstanding my intent. And I don't have to put up with that in my personal life, but I do kind of have to, put up with this person who also lives in our house. So
yeah,
that's all.
Yeah, for sure, Beth. Yeah, prayers for you on that. Yeah, I can definitely relate to that too, because I've had those types of situations, like in my living situation, and then also people not understanding my intentions in my personal social life, where it's more voluntary, where both parties kind of have to be involved in the situation. They just don't understand my intentions, and then it's then it feels one-sided, and it's why do I have to keep trying so hard when the other person isn't trying so hard, and they just keep misunderstanding me and stuff like that. I just recently had something like that. I think it was last week or something. I had a friend that I felt like every time I was texting that person, that I would have to try really hard to be interesting in my text messages to them. And I felt like there was one text message that I sent that was not that interesting. And I had a feeling that they wouldn't text me back after that. And I was right. They didn't text me back. So I'm like, I don't need that situation in my life. If maybe sometimes if they want to talk to me or something like that, and I want to put my foot forward, but I don't always have to if they're not going to.
Right.
So I totally relate to you on that. And it's difficult when you have these misunderstandings, especially in your kind of intimate living situation. It's just, it becomes really challenging and difficult. So yeah, definitely pray for you on that, Beth.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Did we do it? Did we solve all of the world's problems?
Yes, I believe so. And I wasn't sure if I was going to say this, but I think even though Jessica is not physically here, I think she's here with us in spirit, because this episode it's just almost the same length as any other episode that we've ever had.
Yep, we filled in the space for Jessica with our words.
Right, exactly.
Though. Yep. And on that note, I'm going to throw it to you, Tim.
Stay mad, you Methodists.
No matter what life brings us, Jesus is the same. We're just your Methodist to the madness. Methodist to the madness. Methodist to the madness. Methodist to the madness.